We are live. We are live. Live as in live, 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 live. And I just need to, I want to make sure that I see, y'all can see and hear me. Because you know how we do, that you can see and hear me. And then we're going to get started. Let's see. Uh, it says that one person logged in. So if you can see and hear me, let me know so we can start to go. I'm going to be a rapper when I grow up. So let me know. I want to make sure that I can be heard and, it's broadcasting. I want to make sure it's broadcasting and you can hear and see me. Because if not, then I'm just gonna be talking to myself. Because what y'all ain't gonna do is get me in trouble, and I don't get this message out of me. So, with that said, I am going to go ahead and get started. Let me switch over so I can see comments on this side. So, for those of you who don't know, I am TJ Mercer, known as the Walking Exclamation Point. I teach authors, experts, coaches, and entrepreneurs how to book themselves in the media without a publicist and without being a celebrity. And I recently launched the first philanthropic TV production company where we are merging all things HBCU with philanthropy. And we will be creating content exclusively for HBCUs. And so I think I've done a week now. I think I'm on day 7 or something, that I've had a commitment to do videos instead of writing posts. And I've been doing really well. It's hard for me not to write because I would prefer to just write my posts and tell my stories. So my challenge, the 30-day challenge for myself, to not just tell my story, but show my story. I had to think about what I was trying to say. So with that said, I want to share a message that hopefully it will get to the right. Well, I know hopefully. I know God. I know it's going to land on the right person, whether you end up showing here live or you show up on the replay. But one of the messages and the warnings that I have gotten in the last week or two was further confirmed when I listened to Pastor Mike Todd's sermon, and he was just talking about King Saul. And when you think about it, if you know the story of King Saul, David became the king of Israel by second choice. Originally, God had chosen King Saul, and King Saul lost his way. King Saul didn't fulfill his whole destiny. King Saul didn't do what he was supposed to do, so he had the kingdom ripped from him. But Saul was God's first choice. Now, was God surprised? No, God ain't surprised by nothing we do. But the original choice was King Saul was to be the king of Israel. King Saul didn't work out, so here comes King David. And King David was known as a man after God's own heart. He had the posture for being king. And even then, we have to remember that even then, when Samuel anointed King David, he spent about 40 years before he rose up to the kingdom. 40 years. And so last weekend, or the last time I went live, I taught about you have to fight for it. I taught about the fact that there are promises that God give you, and you have to fight for those promises, especially if those promises are attached to game changing things that will impact generations, especially if it's going to disrupt some generational curses. There's no way the enemy is going to allow you to easily walk into your destiny, especially if it's attached, or not if, when it's attached to people. And I'm assuming y'all can hear and see me because ain't nobody told me you can hear and see me yet. But we're going to keep on going because, I don't like to waste time. So I wanted to tell a couple of stories where, okay, Mandela's here. Okay. So at least you can see and hear me. So, in keeping with the King Saul and me saying, I want us to hold each other accountable. I don't want to be getting in trouble by myself. You know, getting in trouble when you were little was a whole lot easier if your brother, your sister sitting right there with you in the corner. So y'all both in trouble. So you're not watching your brother and sister having a good time. So that's what this is here, Mandela. That's what this is here, Monica. Okay, I see Monica here. So that's what this is here. This is me not wanting to be in trouble by myself. But also, the altruistic part is me wanting to get you to prevent making the mistake that I made. So when I'm thinking of King Saul and King Saul being the original chosen, two things that have happened in my life came to mind. Some of you may have heard me tell this story before, the first one, but the second one is fairly recent. So let me tell you the first one. Several years ago, Monica says, I don't want to get in trouble by myself. Thank you, Monica. So several years ago, I guess this was probably 2008, 2007, somewhere. I had an idea for a TV show. And then watch this, because God will give you an opportunity to make it right and get right. He'll give you another shot. And it almost will come almost identical. So catch this. So in 2007, 2008, somewhere around there, I had an idea for a TV show that had, I've been talking for 3 days straight, y'all, so I got to drink more tea, okay? So sorry if I have to keep pausing to coat my throat. I had this idea for a TV show, and it was a TV show that was, the subject matter was around the NFL. Oh my God, I look just like my mama. Oh my goodness, I have flashes of that. Don't laugh at me. I have flashes of that where I realize, oh my gosh, that is Wanda Jean's face all the time. My mama can never deny this. Okay, she can never deny that I was her uterus buster. So because the show had an NFL slant, I don't really know nothing about sports. I don't really know anything about football at the time. So I actually had to, this is no joke, no lie. I ain't telling a lie. I actually had to go get Football for Dummies, because the show concept was NFL was the main character, but it wasn't the main purpose. So I knew I needed to understand this if I was going to be penetrating the NFL world. And so the idea was about the players who were going to the combine and training for the combine. And I had gotten the number one at the time, the number one combine trainer, that he gets everybody ready for the NFL combine. All of these football players, he gets them ready for the combine. I had gotten him to sign a 1-year exclusive deal with me that he wouldn't sign anybody else, to give me time to create the pilot for the show, get it sold. The number one trainer. Then I had assembled my team of TV people to help me shoot the pilot. Shot that. And then I let my ex-husband, who, as y'all know my backstory, he was abusive, verbally and physically, almost killed me several times. I let my ex-husband get into my head, because my ex-husband used to tell me, you don't ever need to do a business. You only need to be an editor. You don't need to get past anything besides being an editor. Stay in your lane. And I got scared. I started having all the chatter of what I couldn't do, all the chatter of what I wasn't qualified to do. Who did I think I was? Am I talking to somebody? Who did I think I was to think I could do this? He's right. I shouldn't be trying to be an executive producer. I shouldn't be trying to be a producer, period, because I was an editor. So my pilot went nowhere. It just sat on the hard drive of my computer because I was too afraid. Fast forward a couple of years, and I'm sitting at home watching TV. I've divorced him. I'm sitting at home watching TV. And I don't know what network I was watching. And I just happened to catch a show that was about stories of the players who were training for the NFL Combine. And the look of the show, the feel of the show, the music of the show was everything I had conceived. So much so, Monica, so much so, Regina, that I had to actually watch the credits to make sure that somebody I knew did not actually steal my idea. That's how close it was. And I didn't recognize any of the names in the credits. And I sat there on that couch and I cried like a baby. Because somebody had done what God had given me. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough that he had aligned me out the blue with the number one trainer of the NFL Combine. It wasn't enough that I spent at this time 10 years in television. It wasn't enough that I convinced all my friends to come together and be in the hot sun to shoot a pilot. I actually got the NFL Combine trainer that day to shoot a pilot. That wasn't enough for me to believe that God was going to actually give me everything that I needed. I got stopped at being unqualified. And so I sat there and I had to watch somebody else do the show that God gave me. Now, one would think I would have learned my lesson. Because fast forward, and are you getting the connection why I'm saying the King Saul thing? God chose me for the show. I let the chatter talk me out of it. And then a replacement came. King Saul, King David. And the show was well done. I actually went and found the editor and told him how much I enjoyed the show. So fast forward to 2021. And God gives me a concept for several shows. Lays them out. He gives me the concept of my production company, Planet Bougie, where HBCU culture is celebrated and the curious get educated. And this time, here comes my fear knocking again. Who do you think you are? Yeah, you've produced some shows. Yeah, at this point, you've been 25 years in Hollywood. But this other thing that you created, Media Mavericks Academy, is what you're really good at. This is what you're successful for. This is your moneymaker. So when I was supposed to launch Planet Bougie in March, I was like, okay, I'm going to play it safe, but I'm going to still do Media Mavericks. And I'm going to just focus on that because I didn't do Media Mavericks any of 2020. So I'm going to focus on that, and then I'll come back to Planet Bougie. Here's the beauty of God. Just like God gave King Saul ample opportunity to get right. A few months later, Holy Spirit nudges me again. And I know what's riding on me. So once again, I make the choice. Okay, I'm going to get around to Planet Bougie. Now, mind you, don't forget, God had disrupted my whole life in LA, pulled me out of LA after loving LA for 25 years to now put me in Atlanta to do the thing he called me to do for HBCUs. And I'm going to tell him, okay, but hold on, wait, I got a better plan. I'm going to focus on Media Mavericks. I love Media Mavericks. I love the coaching. I love all of that. And he never told me I had to walk away, but he had told me to launch Planet Bougie. So finally, oh, wait, hold on. So I got to pause. I forgot to tell you really the second time it happened. Second time it happened. So pause there. I skipped a whole chunk of what I need y'all to get. My bad. So around 2014, this is the first time he gave me the concept of making dreams come true, which is what essentially Planet Bougie is going to do. So in 2014, he gave me the concept called Project Dreamlight, and it's where dreams get the green light. In the first 2 weeks of Project Dreamlight being in existence, I had greenlight almost $10,000 worth of dreams. One would think that was enough for me to follow the vision that God had laid me out. I had bought and owned, still own now, IMakeDreamsComeTrue.com. That's a story for a whole other day of how he laid that out. But I'll tell you this, the night that he gave it to me and told me to go buy IMakeDreamsComeTrue.com, the next day I get a call out the blue from only a person I'd only talked to one other time in my life, telling me that God had just told her to call me and offer something for my dreamers. Mind you, I ain't told nobody because God had just happened it. So despite all of that, I still chose Media Mavericks. Even though he was telling me, move forward with Project Dreamlight. But see, here's the thing. Project Dreamlight didn't make any sense. How do you tell somebody I make dreams come true? Where's the profit margin in that? Heck, what is that even called? Where do you go get a degree in making dreams come true? So that didn't make sense to me. So I played it safe and I went and did the thing that made sense. I launched Media Mavericks Academy. That was the thing that made sense. Because I had the experience to back that up. That wasn't building something out of scratch, like Project Dreamlight was. Where was I going to pay the mortgage with Project Dreamlight? And so I went on to build Media Mavericks. And that's the point I entered God's permissible will, not his perfect will. And there's a difference. His permissible will allowed Media Mavericks to grow. His permissible will brought some of the same people who I'm rocking with now on Planet Bougie. That's how they entered my life, through the orbit of Media Mavericks Academy. Now watch this. And I think it was in 2020. This dude comes up on my Instagram feed named Charlie. And Charlie is on a mission to just make dreams come true. He just rented a dream bus and he goes around random people making dreams come true. The exact thing that God told me to do. And I got scared and still didn't do it. So now here's the second time I'm having to watch somebody. And like, he got a major sponsor for the dream bus and donations. And like, he's really changing people's lives of making their dreams come true. That's exactly what God had told me to do, Regina. Mandela, that's what he told me to do. And yet, once again, I got to sit here and watch somebody else do exactly what he had laid out for me to do. So that was strike two. So now here comes Planet Bougie. I almost missed it again. And Planet Bougie, and this is the redemptive nature of God, is that now with Planet Bougie, there's an aspect of Project Dreamlight built in. So now he's showing me you get to merge all the things that you love, planning surprises for people, producing TV shows, and being a philanthropist. And then plus adding HBCU culture into the mix. You get to do the things that you love. I'm handing it to you on a silver platter. You just got to put in the work and fight for the promise I've given you. And still. But God, this is the part that makes sense. This part don't make sense of me building a production company. This part doesn't make sense that I'm building a TV production company solely focused on philanthropy for the HBCU community. That doesn't make sense. And the day came. I love God so much for this, because despite the many times I've said no to just trusting and jumping, He still gave me another shot to get it right. I had just put my speaker, I was listening to TD Jakes, and I just put the speaker, hey, Brad, I just put the speaker on my towel rack while the sermon was playing so I could finish listening to it while I was in the shower. And TD Jakes at that exact moment was talking about the man who had laid down and had become so comfortable by laying near the healing waters that he wasn't willing to get out of his comfort zone because he had just accepted his status quo. And that oftentimes, even when it's good, we stay too long. Even when it's good and everything is going well, we stay too long because of the comfort zone that we're in. And at that exact moment, I heard the Holy Spirit say, this is your last shot to choose right, or else your legacy is going to be disrupted. And I remember flashing back to the TV show and to this dude, Charlie, and of how the feeling I had of I've now got to watch somebody else execute the magnanimous vision, the beautiful, exciting, fun vision that God had given me. And I said, not again. I'm about to be 50. And I knew something in me, Regina. I knew something in me, Mandela, knew if I did not choose Planet Bougie this time and make it the priority, not walk away from Media Mavericks, because I still get to do the fun stuff for Media Mavericks. But I knew if I didn't choose this time, I would live with regrets. And I let that whole feeling of what that felt like the day I was on that couch crying, I let that feeling of seeing, and I still follow Charlie because it's a reminder. And I'm seeing all the good that he's doing of making dreams come true on his dream bus. I'm the one that owns IMakeDreamsComeTrue.com. I'm the one that owns WeMakeDreamsComeTrue.com, because I knew it wasn't going to be beat by myself. But I still have to watch somebody else do the original plan that God gave me. So I did not ever want to lose that feeling. So I still follow him. And every time he pops up with something new, sometimes I can't even watch it because the guilt and the sadness takes over. So the day the Holy Spirit gave me that final shot to get it right, I said, I don't care what happens. I don't care if I have to move back home with my mother. I don't care what needs to happen. I will die building Planet Bougie. It's going to either be successful or it's not. But what's not going to happen is I'm not going to have another regret of watching somebody else. And especially at this point, God has laid out the Planet Bougie slate so crystal clear that I'm having private meetings with people asking if they want to partner with me and become one of my Bougie 107. And I'm getting yeses back to back to back. That's how dope God has laid out this plan. And you mean to tell me I'm still had learned my lesson from 2007? You mean to tell me I ain't learned my lesson from 2014 to now 2021, and the same lesson presents itself and I'm still going to operate in fear? Hell to the no. Not going to happen. I will die building this company. I will die making a difference in these foster kids' lives who have aged out of the system. I will die emulating Walt Disney, where he was willing to put everything on the line to go after the vision he saw in Snow White and the vision he saw in Disneyland, where everybody else was saying he was stupid. They didn't believe it. It was possible that no one wanted to see an 88-minute feature animated film, or they didn't want to see an amusement park to the ginormous size of Disneyland. He still went after it. And that's me. Because I resolved, I'm not going to be a King Saul no more. I've let two people that I know of, that God has made sure I saw, that they're executing what he told me to do. So no, when it comes to Planet Bougie, ain't nobody going to get to be King David. I'm building Planet Bougie with the help of 106 other people with me who have said yes, or who are in the midst of saying yes. That's how I'm getting down. Regina says, like Richard Williams, has that movie dropped yet, or is it coming? I couldn't remember. Mandela says, doggone it, let me get obedient before this year's end. You don't know when God's going to say that's the last shot that I'm going to give you. I'm grateful that he came to me 3 times. Ooh, I like that, Mandela. Mandela says, I got too many receipts not to be great. So this is me holding you accountable. If you are here listening, or if you're listening to the replay, it is my belief, because God wouldn't let this message go from me, because it's my belief. Okay, I got you. It's my belief that he had you here for such a time as this, to hear this particular message. And he kept moving on my heart that I had to actually share this. And I'm watching Planet Bougie just really come together. I'm watching God connect dots that I didn't see the connection at first until now. Like last night, on a fluke, last minute, somebody asked me to judge the Miss HBCU pageant here in Atlanta. And they're, representative for all the schools pretty much. And having no idea who started the pageant, knowing nothing about the man. Come to find out, he's a super successful businessman who started the pageant 35 years ago, and to date has given millions of dollars to HBCUs. When I entered, after the pageant was over, a young man came to me and was basically pitching me his concept. And it was such a left-brain concept. I just told the baby, listen, I'm not the one for you. I said, but I don't know this man, but I'm going to take your hand and I'm going to walk you up to meet the man who judged the pageant. Who created the pageant. Because I listened to, the things he was saying. And I leaned over and asked another fellow judge, well, what does he do? And he's like, he has this kind of business. He has this kind of business. And I ain't met this man from Adam. I ain't laid foot on the man. And so I walked up to him and said, hey, Mr. Dorch, I'm TJ Mercer. And he goes, I know who you are. And I was like, wait, what? So long story short, me being willing to make an introduction of this young man for STEM got me the business card of this man who gives millions of dollars to HBCUs. That's how dope God is. But he had to actually say, he had to get his yes from me first. And not only did he have to get my yes, he had to get my obedience of just doing step 1, step 2, and not knowing the whole plan. But just trusting God enough that if you told me to do this, then you're going to have to provide for it. So that's my heart. That's what I wanted to share. And that is what I hope that you guys take away from that. Don't be King Saul. King Saul was God's first choice. And like Pastor Todd said, David was his backup plan. Ain't nobody gonna be a backup plan for me, not for Planet Bougie. I got some get right. And as a result of me getting some get right, folks are rocking with me. So I'll tell you more about the Bougie 107, but make a note to yourself. I'm going to have a meeting the same time this Sunday, on the 21st, next Sunday, sorry, at 8:15 p.m. Eastern, where I'm going to invite you to partner with me and make history as one of my original Bougie 107. There will never be a Bougie, there will never be a 108. Once we hit 107, we're done. And so all last week, I was having private meetings doing exactly what God was telling me. And we'll be going, wider. Hey, Cheryl! We'll be going wider as it goes on. But whoever this was for, please don't be a King Saul. Don't let nobody be. Don't let nobody God have. Don't let God have to put his backup player in the game because you ain't willing to show up to practice. Oh, that was good. I think I better write that down. Don't let God get nobody else your spot on the team because you are refusing to show up for practice. So, with that said, let's be accountable for each other. Let's make sure that we show up and follow the plan that God has given us. Because unfortunately, Saul didn't know that last act of disobedience. He didn't know that was his last chance. And the crazy thing was, God still left him in position for a minute. He didn't just strip him immediately because the thing was, God was then grooming David. So he still rocked Saul to sleep and let him remain king as he slowly deteriorated. Don't let that be you. That's a little of me, having to watch someone else walk out my dream, but catch how just dope God is. All the ideas that God had given me about the combine, now I just get to put an HBCU spin on it. So he's still going to use me to produce the show. It's just going to look different. He just gave me another shot. Because that's the God that we serve. So don't let it get extreme like King Saul, where he just rips the whole darn kingdom. Don't keep playing, Mandela. This was your last warning. For some of y'all coming in on a replay, this was your last warning. And he's telling you it's time to get in the game. You got to trust him. He's going to show you the plays once you actually get in the game, not before. So with that said, let's count it down. Is there anything I need to know before we say goodnight? Thanks for showing up. Share this message if you think it needs to be shared for somebody who is not doing the thing that God had told them to do for the reasons that only they know. Fear is usually what's driving it. In 10, 9, hey, Fred. 9, 8. Fred, I'm coming for you soon. Lots have happened. I've actually had to revamp and do the Bougie 107 first, then rather the content. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know where it was. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good night, y'all. Happy Sunday.